welcome to the Real Podcast. My name is Daniel. I'm along with my co-host Jeff Packard. How you doing today, Jeff?
I'm doing good. How you doing, Daniel?
I'm wonderful. I'm wonderful. I'm excited about today's podcast. The topic is ideas and starting a new business. And I know Jeff. We talked a little bit last week about you starting a new business. So I'm just going to get right into it about some of the topics that come across my desk, some of the things that I'd like to know on your end as a business entrepreneur, just starting another business or your new business. Let me ask you something. What is one of the things that you were scared about, if you were scared about anything about doing the new business?
I would say the fear of the unknown. Um, not so we started a solar company, and so we don't we're using someone to install our installs, but we were always in-house before. So just kind of giving up that, letting someone else do what they do best, and having less control. I think that would be one of my main concerns
Okay.
was that um, allowing other people to do what they do well and better, and then you focusing on what you do well.
All right.
So
Well,
I would say that would be one.
let me ask you this. You used the term of giving up control. Do you feel that you gave up control, or do you feel that you delegated the areas that maybe you're not the best at?
I would say delegated.
Delegated. Okay. Because I think a lot of people, especially as a coach, a lot of people kind of use that same terminology as I had to give up control or I had to have somebody else do this, and understanding that you really didn't give up anything, you delegated so you could do other things that make you more productive.
Yeah, I always felt like I have to have my hand in everything
Why do you feel that?
because I like control.
You like control. Okay.
Yeah.
And are you finding out sooner than later that that's probably not the best thing, but it's hard to
Yeah,
give up?
it's taken me 50 years, but yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to give up.
Yeah.
I think part of the challenge that a lot of young entrepreneurs have, or middle aged, or even old ones, is we're so used to doing everything ourselves because we know how we want it, but we're not the best at sharing our thoughts on how we want it. So if we give a task to somebody, we have a preconceived notion of what that should look like. And then if it's not exactly what our vision was, then we say you're doing it wrong, even though that maybe our vision isn't the best because we only have one way of looking at a lot of things because that's the way we did it. And I can share with you throughout the career of doing what I was doing with the seminars and training and then coaching, I fell into that a lot. And it took me a long time just to say to somebody, hey, just do your thing. And whether I like it or I don't, I can understand that you're looking at it differently. So I love the aspect of just letting somebody do what they do because I know it's going to be better than what I can do, even though my vision was it's got to be this way and they have a different vision. At the end, it works out 99.9 times out of 10. It works out that way, that everything is seamless and it's good and the public likes it and so on and so forth, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
All right. Let me ask you this. What is some of the things that you feel that you didn't have a clue about when you started this?
Mm. Well, it's not that I didn't have a clue about it. I think I know something about a lot of things, and
Right.
not narrowing my focus and focusing on you know not everything. But I don't not I'm not really clueless on what I'm doing. So I don't know if that's the right
Well,
way
let
of
me
putting.
ask you, let me rephrase it a little bit different. Is there something that you want versus something you need that is changing with you? Like a thought process, hey, I want it this way versus it needs to be this way.
No, my biggest thing right now is getting my contacts all together in one place because now it's it's for for our company, and developing that relationship over with so many people. And that was the biggest thing, where a lot of, before I was just simply in sales, and all I would do is just, focus on the next job I could do. Now it's really maintaining all of those relationships I have, which I should have done for years. And I tell people, your biggest asset when you're building your business is not yourself. It's your people, it's your list. And 99, percent people don't keep an active list, or they do keep a list, but it's not active. They haven't done a good job of developing relationships with people over the years. So the people would come back to you, because solar is not really you know, I'm going to do it this year, but I'm also going to do it next year too. So
Mm-hmm.
there's, but the solar is like, I did solar with Jeff, and I want to refer you to my neighbor. He's been asking questions. And I find that, if I didn't do a good job of staying in touch and keeping them updated on different, topics, because our topics change a lot in this industry, based on states and utilities. So, and I think people like, the educational part of it. And
Okay.
so my job is to inform them, not just ask them for referrals or, stuff like that. They know that. They know that I live off referrals. So yeah, I would say that would be the biggest thing, is just maintaining and developing your list, but doing a good job of staying in touch with your list, most importantly. And I don't really think that changes from any other business, especially if you're starting your own business. You're going to need people to talk to. And yeah, you could start fresh, but just make sure you're using something that works for you, like a CRM, and and then do a good job of maintaining touch. So
That's a good point. I know that a lot of my clients, they're in sales, no matter what the area of sales they're in, whether it's insurance or auto sales or any of those things, network marketing. They always talk about, everybody says we got to have a list. Everybody says keep point of my contacts. I think a lot of people don't understand how you baby your contacts, how you keep your contacts informed, how you nurture all your contacts, and how important it is, because so many people in sales that I've coached and I talk to on a regular basis, they say they know it, but they don't practice it. They say they know they're supposed to keep in contact with their clients, but they look at it and say, my client already bought. Why do I got to keep in contact with them? And I think a good area is kind of like with you with solar. Once they have the solar, why should a salesperson keep in contact? The solar system's on their house. They don't need anything from you for what, 30, 40 years or however long it is. So why should you keep in contact? I want you to elaborate why you should keep in contact with somebody, and the importance after you install your system on their house. Why is that so important to keep in contact with ABC customer after they've already purchased your product?
I think it's the ongoing relationship that you have with someone. And, it's so easy to neglect someone after you made a sale. I don't care what you're selling, um, and not nurture them and take care of them. If they have questions, answer their questions, pick up your phone, email them back, text them, whatever communication style you like, or they like, most importantly. And, they can see that. I'll give you an example. I've got a presentation with someone in Florida, this afternoon, and it was just from one of my posts online, but she said, we'd like to take another look at solar. And I said, sure. So I asked her some questions, and, who's your utility? And, and I, I live in Arizona, so I'm not familiar with that utility. All utilities are different. Every one of them are so different. So what I did was I went online, and I actually found the phone number, and I called the utility and found out some really good information, that will help her out. And she said to me, she goes, well, the last person we looked into solar with didn't do that. And it's just kind of going above and beyond of what they're expecting. They're just expecting especially in our industry. Just an estimate, just a quote, just send it to me, and then I'll make my decision. I'm going to get 10 quotes. And, but if I can, once I gather their information, I can send them things that they're not thinking about. Like, what happens if I want to sell my house and I have solar on my house? How does that work? I'm nervous about roof leaks. How is my roof insured? What if my system goes down? Do you have any guarantee that you'll fix it in a set amount of time? Or if it doesn't produce, will you cut me a check for the difference? Certain things like that, they're not even thinking about yet. And I always tell people, there's no stupid question. Just let me see if I can answer it for you, or I'll find the information that you're looking for. And I think about, going above and beyond what they're expecting. They're expecting just someone to knock on your door, try to get an appointment, and then hopefully get a sale, and then move on to the next person. But they don't do a good job of maintaining that relationship that from their list, and saying, well, this guy actually truly cares. He really wants to help people out. And in return, hopefully they have enough trust in me that they'll refer their mother or their aunt. Because if they don't, if I'm just another salesperson that comes in and comes out, I'm just like all the rest. But I think it's different when you have your own business.
Definitely.
Yeah, because it's your own business. It's your reputation.
Yes.
So.
And, I think everything that we will talk about from this podcast and the next one and the 500th and so on and so forth, I think it always ties back to nurturing your clients, to respecting your clients more than just a commission check. And I do agree with you that on that aspect of, you're more than just somebody looking to get a commission check, or for your business, somebody just wanting to put in money into the business and, yeah, I'll buy the product, but I don't expect anything. I do understand what you're saying. And I think you nurturing your clients and educating your clients that they'll make a decision. And, it brings up a good story. I had a client a little while back, and they were having challenges because their product was more than somebody else's. And they were saying they're not going to buy from me because the clients are just looking for the best price. Kind of what you shared is every salesman just drops off how much it's going to cost, and that's what people base their decision on. That is because the client is just looking at price. They don't have the information to look at anything else. And by you educating them, they will make a very informed decision of, this may not be the cheapest, but I feel it's the best for us, going with another company like Jeff's. Even though he might be a little bit more expensive, he services me. He does everything I ask. He's always there when I need an email answered. It may not be that second, but it could be by the end of the day, where the other guys, I shot them an email and they haven't responded in 4 or 5 days. So either they're too busy for me, or they're just a one-hit wonder. They come in, they want to sell, and then move on. They don't care about me because I've already paid for the system. So I think it always ties back to nurturing your clients, educating your clients, and then your clients become a friend. And those friends refer other people because they're not afraid to. It's easy for a salesperson to go to a customer or a client and say, hey, how did you like my service? Oh, it was great. Can you refer me to your neighbor? Can you refer me to your sister, your brother, this and that? Sometimes they feel obligated because you're pressuring them. But I love the clients that come to me before I can even ask those questions and say, you know what? My sister needs something like this. Can I give you her number, or can she call you and will you take the phone call? Those are the best because you already know that they're talking to somebody and they're getting a little bit of information, and they say, hey, I want to talk to your guy because it seems like he's answering your questions. It seems like you don't have any issues with them, so on and so forth. Those are great clients to have when you give them the information and then they feed you more clients, because you're building that reputation. And it's not just always a good reputation of saying, hey, they got 5 stars on their Google rating or Yelp rating or this rating. It's he actually answered my questions. He wasn't frustrated because I don't know anything. And I think a lot of salespeople in the beginning, they're eager to do everything and they want that information from their clients. But as soon as they get a few sales under their belt, they say, hey, I got 7 minutes or 10 minutes or 12 minutes. I got to go to my next client, my next client, my next client. And they don't spend the time to educate them. So they're not willing to make that presentation stick. It's always fast talking, what I call fast talking salesperson, but you're not educating them. So even in my career, when I teach salespeople, and we're using that term salespeople, I want to convert that into a consultant because you have to educate your client on the product and the service that you offer. And if you're not willing to educate them, somebody else will. That's the key. Somebody is going to do that, whether it's a Jeff or it's another person in your industry. Somebody's going to educate them and you're going to lose the sale. It's almost like a revolving door, which you don't want that, but so many salespeople just want that revolving doors. Let me go to the next customer client. Let me go to the next one. I got 20 appointments today. And I think if you take the 20 appointments and you, for instance, shrink it down to 3 or 4, and you spend your time with those 3 or 4 and educate them, they're all going to buy from you. The 20 won't. But everybody in sales says it's a numbers game. You got to go knock on 100 doors. I remember when you were with Tom Hopkins and I was doing that same thing, we had so many people we had to talk to per day, or we didn't feel like we were doing anything. Instead of talking to a few people and really educating them and getting all their questions answered, we said, hey, we got to talk to 20 people a day, because 20 people a day come out to 5 presentations, and 5 presentations come out to 3 sit downs, and 3 sit downs equal 1 sale. I think that's so old school and so not today, where people want information. And yes, we can gather all that information online, but most people don't grab information online. It's there, but how many people after you go talk to them are really going to sit down for more than 20 or 30 minutes and go through everything that they can online? It's very difficult for them because they don't really know what they're looking for. So I think by you teaching them and asking the right questions and letting them know that they can ask you anything, that's powerful. And I think a lot of salespeople say, yeah, that's true, but they always give me the but. And it's not always about a but. It's always give your clients what they need to make the right decision. If you don't give them what they need to make the right decisions, they can't make the decision necessary for you to advance your career.
Yeah, I think, and also people are looking for price, but they're also looking for the value. And more importantly, what I tell people is after the sale. I mean, so will you pick up your phone after I say yes? Will you answer our questions? Can you, if we do have an issue with our system, can you help us out with it? And I think, I think that's important. I think I mean, the sale starts after the sale. And I think we're so caught up in the grind and the hustle of, talking to people, meeting people, and, doing that we lose sight of the person in front of us.
Definitely.
Where that person could, if they like you and they trust you, and they're going to do business with you, then why wouldn't you want to take it a step further and have them, instead of knocking on 100 doors to get 10 appointments, tapping into their network where they know 10 people and they could introduce them to you? Mm-hmm. I think that's important. So I think I think a lot of salespeople lose sight of that. And, the sale after the sale more, and I think we'll all do a better job at that. And I thought that was an interesting perspective, what you said about numbers. We always teach people, well, if you talk to, so many people, you're going to get this many appointments. And there's a lot of ratios, which is true. You can't just practice the law of attraction and hopefully people call you and they want to, buy something from you. You actually have to be out there in motion and sharing your message with people. And the more people that you share it with, hopefully the more return you'll get for that time. So I think it's a double-edged sword on that one. I think it's not, I think you do have to put in the work, and Because if you never tell anybody about your business, you don't have a business.
That part is true. And let me take a step back a little bit. When I was referring to when you're young in sales, your manager or your boss says, "Hey, you got to door knock or you got to do whatever. You got to make 10 contacts a day." I don't think they're teaching you how to make those contacts. So in the beginning, if you haven't been trained, all you're doing is saying, "Well, I was supposed to talk to 10 people today. So here's one person and here's two people and here's three people." But when you're making that contact, are you developing a little bit of a relationship? Are you developing a little bit of um, common with the client and saying, "Hey, this is what we do. I'd like to be able to sit down a little bit, maybe next week or in a couple of days. My schedule's free. Can we sit down and I can discuss some options that we have?" That has to be taught. And so many people that I feel that have come across my desk or used me for coaching, they say, "Well, everybody says I just got to make contacts." And I make contacts, but nobody calls me back. So I did what they told me, but it's not working out. So then, yes, you have to make the contacts. But what are you doing while you make that contact? What type of impression are you giving your potential client when you make that contact? And I don't feel that in today's world that most people in general sales, whether it's insurance or solar or any of those things, will make a sale the first time they meet somebody. They have to develop that relationship. Let me ask you this. In all the times that you've been doing solar, have you ever sold somebody the first time you knocked on their door without meeting them twice?
Yes.
How often does that happen?
Well, it doesn't happen very much anymore. I was with Solar City, and Solar City was the only game in town.
Okay.
So it made things a lot easier because no one else was offering solar. Now it's just like buying a house. Who do you know that has a realtor? We all have two or three,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's the same thing with solar. Yeah, we all know two or three. So it's a matter of, like you said, who is providing the most value out there, and who is giving the most content, who it really knows their craft, versus someone that's just looking to make a quick commission and going about it that route. So yeah.
I agree with you. I know that I've had my fair share of working with real estate agents, and nothing against them. Um, when you talk to a real estate agent that's a career person and they've been doing it for 10, 15, 20 years, they always look back and say, "Hey, when the market's hot and everybody's buying and interest rates are low, everybody wants to sell real estate because it's easy. When the real estate market is a little bit challenging and the interest rates go up a little bit and there's not so many houses on the market and they got to actually do a little bit of work, you find that the newbies or the new people that are just in it for the fast buck are gone." And I say, okay, I get that. And I think every industry has that. So what, as a client, you're coming to me as coaching, what are you doing different? And they're like, "We have to stand out." And yeah, it's easy to invest in a billboard or slap a sign on the top of the car and drive around town and so on and so forth, or do social media marketing. Those are things that everybody can do. But what stands for me from anybody else is the personal connection that I have with them. It's not just the sale, but as you mentioned, it's the sale after the sale. Is what am I doing to nurture that relationship? And I already know right now for a real estate agent that the client's going to be in the house 5, 6, 7 years. Then they might think about either downsizing or upgrading or whatever the case may be, or maybe looking for another home somewhere else, a vacation house or whatever the case may be. It's nurturing that relationship, as you were talking about. It's the sale after the sale. It's how do we keep in contact with that person just to share with them maybe special announcements, special news. So if we keep in contact with that client after the sale, we should get more sales out of it. That's just the nature of the business if we do our job right. So let me ask you this. Out of what are you doing as a salesperson in your solar business right now, that after you make that sale, what are you doing for a follow-up? How do you follow up with your clients on a regular basis, whether it's 2 times a year or 5 times a year, whatever it is for you and your company? What are you doing? What type of system do you have implemented to keep that for you?
Well, I do all of it. Um, I do phone calls, emails, texts, uh, greeting cards, gifts, all of it. So it's just, and it's just not one thing. So it's a combination of all of it. And I don't have like an automatic emailer that goes out. It's just if I find that something's appropriate to send out and relevant, I send it out. And usually I get a response that was good. Thank you. That's all I'm looking for.
Hmm.
Um, I got your card. What a beautiful family. Um, because if you put pictures, not just of your logo or product, more about, Jeff's actually he's a human being. He has a family. He does this and does that. I put that in there where they can relate more to you. And so that's my intention there. And then, if someone calls me, I call them back. If they text me, I text them back. I think a lot of people really don't do that in this day and age, especially, press one for this, press two for that. I can't get in touch with anybody. Uh, are there people out there anymore? so,
Definitely.
um, so basically, just being authentic and being real, and whenever I find something of value, I send it out. And it's not, and I've tried to do a better job at that recently, where it's just, yes, we're just starting getting our business going. We are lowering our prices. We're trying to get people in the door so they can refer other people to it, that type of thing. But it comes back to me where they're not really, they're looking for value. They're looking for someone, if I have an appointment at 1 o'clock, they're looking for me to show up not at 1 o'clock, but a few minutes early.
Hmm.
And, you know, the last person here, they didn't call us, they didn't text us, and they were 15 minutes late, or they didn't show up at all. Um, so I don't need to say, well, I'm different, I'm better. Um, they know that I did exactly what I said I was going to do. And, that's another key thing too, is I don't ask people I mean, we're also looking to build a team and bring on team members. I'm not asking for someone to do what I'm not doing myself. I'm not looking to, hey, listen, I've got 10 reps now and I can sit back in my lazy chair. It's actually, no, I work harder because I'm answering questions. I'm out there with you. We're going to the customer's house together, or, I'm responding to an email that you got that you can't answer. There's so many different things to it. I enjoy that. I missed that. I got away from that um, because I got tired of it. But I find that people need people. People need people to succeed, and they're looking for questions. And it's who they can resonate with. There's a lot of different faces on the internet, Facebook, whatever, YouTube. You know, it's finding someone that their message really resonates with you, who you are as a person. They're like, I would love to have that guy as my coach, or I would love to work with that guy. He sounds genuine. He sounds sincere, and I think he really does want to help me out.
Hmm.
And I think that's what really comes back to me. So again, I'm trying to be less salesy, and I'm trying to do a better job of that. But I also need to tell people what I'm doing too. So it's a fine line. If you never tell someone what you're doing, and then they'll say, "Are you still in solar again, or solar?" I have someone that I want to introduce you to. Shame on me. And if they ask me that question, it's because I didn't do a good job of staying in touch with my list, right?
Yes.
And my list is people that say yes to me and people that say not right now. So I mean, I'm
You got
sending
to
out
juggle that
information
list.
to both of those. What's that?
You have to juggle that list.
Yeah, I have to juggle that list, and it's not a, I don't know if it's, I don't think it's a science. It's an art.
It is an art.
So because I have something on my wall that says you cannot automate relationships.
I like that.
Um,
That's a good quote.
yeah, so you just, you can't hope, like there's a lot of different programs out there and you're like, oh my God, this is the next, this is the thing, this is going to save my life. This is going to put more money in my pocket than I know what to do with. You can't automate relationships. You can't, there's only one so just keep that in mind when you're out there presenting. So
That's good. That's I do like that quote. So that's I'm going to borrow that from you on a long-term basis. Okay. Let's talk about do you feel in business that people are not structured, or they feel that you feel that they are structured, just not disciplined? What do you feel as an entrepreneur they are weak at? Just in your opinion or your perspective of what you're dealing with and who you know throughout the years, what do you think a challenge is? Is it structured and disciplined, or not disciplined and structured? Kind of share with me your thought on that.
I think people have opportunities for multiple streams of income, and they don't focus on, they don't say, this is where I'm going to lay, this is where I'm going to, work. I'm going to work on this one and just do this one and make this one the way that I see it. And they just jump around, and or they try one prospecting technique that they heard someone talk about, and then they try it for a week and it doesn't work. So, my thing is, I found what I'm going to focus on and just do that and let the chips fall where they fall. But give it enough time where to see what are my results. Are they good or are they bad? Or are they really indifferent? So at that point, I can either throw it away, or try something new, or keep focusing on what I'm focusing on. And I think that's the key differentiator out there. Um, and quite frankly, I don't think people work as much as they could. I think
Why do you think that?
they get comfortable. I think I've got a few clients. That's all I need. But you're not, you could do more? What if you were designed to do more and you're falling short of your, what other people are expecting of you? And I think that's key too, where what do you think that I can do? I mean, do you think I could do more? Do you think I should do less? Do you think I should stay where I'm at? And I think that's where you kind of got to get to where you could, most people don't follow through, especially what they say they're going to do, or they teach something and they're not doing it at all.
Okay.
I've seen that many times. So I always, when I'm training in our meetings, I am not doing something or sharing something that I am not doing myself, because I'm not the expert in that. The other
Right.
guy is the expert in that. You want to talk to him about that. I'm good here. This is my wheelhouse. I would just kind of, ask them some questions on that, focus on, what are you focused on? What's working for you? And it doesn't work all the time. Nothing works all the time.
Correct.
What I will tell you, what works maybe I should say, what, is being authentic to people. That works all the time.
Being real.
The last time that someone came by our door and talked about solar, he was very rude. And, I tell people, be the exact opposite of what they're expecting. Are you interested in solar? Or, have you thought about it for your home? Have you considered it? No. Okay, no problem. I appreciate your time. Have a nice day. Question, is it no right now? Is it no forever? I mean, it's no, it's probably not right now. I go, with your permission, can I put you on I have an email list that I send out. It's not an automated list. So I don't send out things every other week or every other month. It's whenever, if I find something of value, I share it. And if they can see that sincerity and they say, wow, okay, maybe. Okay, so I get their information. If I can build a relationship over time with them, could take 2 months, 3 months, 2 years, whatever the name of the game is, but they're still reading my emails. I'm still staying in touch. I promise you, no one else is doing that.
Right. They're engaged with you at that point.
Yeah, even though I haven't made a sale.
Correct.
And I'm developing a relationship. I'm developing trust.
So we're going right back to
And
what we said earlier. It's about that
yeah,
development.
yeah. So I think 99% of the people out there, they number one, they don't even have a list, or their list is in 5 different spots. It's not up to date. They're not doing anything to nurture that list. And I think if they were to do something, just anything, they would have more success.
That's a great way of looking at it. And I know as a coach, I share those same thoughts with people. Um, and I kind of want to go back just a little bit of what you were talking about of points of contact, whether it was through an email, through text messages, through a phone call. I believe that in today's world, that we should have 7, 8 points of contact all the time. And it could be just a simple email, like you said, hey, hope everything's well. Just wanted to touch base, whatever the case may be, or a point of contact through the phone. Hey, I was thinking about you. I drove by your house. I was working with the neighbor 4 blocks down the road, and I thought about you and that conversation we had about your kids and baseball. And we were both going through the same struggles because our kids are the same age. Anything that makes you a little bit more human, because it's reality that you have a family. It's reality that you go through those same challenges that they do, but they feel like they're not alone. And if they're not alone, that makes them open up as, hey, this person cares, or let me give this point of contact to Jeff because he understands the same things as I do, or he went through the same challenges that I did, or whatever the case may be. There has to be a similarity between you and your clients. And I do remember way back when, we're going back years, I met a client and he loved golf. And the only way that I knew he loved golf was when I walked into his office, he had a golf clubs, a bag of golf clubs. And I never really asked him, just simple questions. Hey, how often do you golf? And his reply is, whenever I can leave the office and not get in trouble. So it's like, okay, so it's kind of laughing because everybody has bosses and we get that. And we ended up doing business, but it took, I don't know, I would say 4 or 5 good meetings, presentations, and follow ups before we actually did business. And one of the things that I always did in business is the day that you and I do business, the first day you and I, whether it's the paperwork agreement, it's a coaching session, it's me being on stage, whatever that is, that's our anniversary. That's what I classify as our anniversary. And for 10, 11 years, I always sent him a golf club, a different kind of golf club every anniversary. And probably the 3rd year I did this, he reached out to me and said, you know something, you send me a golf club, a different golf club every year. Why do you do that? And I said, it's our anniversary. And he's like, well, what are you talking about? And it didn't click with him, but every year on that particular day, we did business. So he would get a golf club, I'd sign a little note, and he thought it was just another way of a salesperson keeping in contact because he meets so many people every day and all they want to do is business, business, business. And it's taught that, hey, send a little gift or do this or do that. That next time that we talked, we went out to lunch and he says, in my whole career, I've never had somebody follow up and send me a golf club or send me a package or worry about my kids or ask me how my kids were doing, that it sounds so superficial from everybody else, but from you, it was genuine. And I said, well, because I care that you like golf and you're good at it. I was doing this because I know you love the game. And most people don't want to give a gift to you just to give it. Most people want something in return. And he's like, you've never asked me for anything after you give me the first club. And I says, what's the point of me giving you a club if all I'm going to do is ask for a gift? That's not what this is for. This is a development. This is a relationship. And ever since that 4th year, he would call me a couple times a year if we had a speaking engagement or something. He says, listen, I got an opening. I can put you in here. It's not my group. It's somebody else's group, but they would love to have you. Or can you go here for me? Can you do this? Can we do that? And it was always about nurturing that relationship. And I can't stress it enough, even though we could talk about it for 10 hours straight about nurturing that relationship.
Hmm.
how important it is, not just for today, but for longevity. And I think maybe um, on my calendar that we'll talk about how you really develop that relationship. What are some techniques that we're using? Maybe on a couple podcasts from now, we'll really dive into that. Maybe we'll bring a guest on and say, hey, what are you doing to develop that relationship and how are you keeping it authentic? So it's just not, hey, let me go here and get a $10 Starbucks card and give it to them. That's not developing a relationship. That's trying to buy something. So how do we keep that relationship genuine, and do we really care? And I think that would be a great topic to talk about in a couple episodes of our podcast.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, we're going to sign off today. Once again, my name is Daniel, Coach Daniel. My co-host is Jeff Packard, and we are the Real Podcast Talk. We'll see you next week.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.